Hi, I'm Yui Shu.
And I'm Julie Kraftchick.
We're active daters turned dating insiders.
Here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to DATEABLE. Hello, friends.
Welcome back to another episode of DATEABLE on the off season.
And we're going to give you some updates today. In case you're wondering what's going on in our lives that we haven't talked about, we're going to give you all the details, spill the tea today.
Love it. It's been a crazy, 6 months? We're at like the 6-month half-year check-in of 2025. I'm just like, this year has just flown by between our book launch, planning a wedding.
Yeah.
It's just been crazy to me.
I was going to say, it's been a crazy year for you.
It
you have a lot going on.
It's been a lot. And then just try to figure out what's going on with life type of year also.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Isn't it kind of a crazy comparison sometimes that one section of your life is moving in a clear direction, which then highlights all the other parts that aren't clear?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because it's been a year and a half-ish of self-employment.
Mm-hmm.
And then clearly the book was a huge thing that came at end of January. We've just been doing so many, I've seen you a lot. It feels like we've done a lot of get-togethers in this first half of the year. And yeah, maybe we can start there. I mean, I guess is there any that have stood out to you as really memorable times together, whether it was through our book launch or things we've done here?
I think we wrote this book in such a vacuum for years because we were writing the book. That's what happens. And then to have it out in the world and have people react to it is probably the most rewarding part of this whole process. To have people say, this is what I've been wanting. This is what I needed. This is what the world needs. It's so nice to hear those words because we've been thinking this and that was our reason for writing it. But it's nice to have the validation of actual people reading the book.
I think for me, I'm just thinking of 2 events that we did. I mean, all of our events were amazing, but 2 come to mind. I think just because the energy that was at these events, and all of them had different energy. So I don't want to pick a favorite, but one that comes to mind was the event we did at the Battery, which is a social club in San Francisco for anyone that's unaware. We just had a very packed house, which was nice. And we got to have Talia from Dating Intentionally be the moderator. So it was kind of like a full circle fun moment to meet her in person because we've only been internet friends and we haven't before. And I just feel like there were so many people taking tons of notes at that event and just very engaged. You didn't see anyone dozing off. Everyone was in the zone, really dialed in. And just the amount of questions we got, and after the fact there was some mingling, so people were coming up. So I just felt the vibe was very high energy.
And everyone was dressed up.
Maybe that's some
really
of
love
it.
That.
Yeah.
I really love that because there's something about a dressed up room that makes you feel like everybody is there to respect your time, right? They didn't just roll out of bed. It just felt like a very elevated event.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many that come to mind. The other one that came to mind is the event we did at Neon, which was more of our launch party. And our friend Nikki made us this full-blown cake of the book. And then your friend Billy got us this table at this club for an after party. It just felt very celebratory. And that was fun. Yeah. That was fun in itself.
Yeah. There were so many. And like you said, there were all different energies. We had an event at the ground floor in LA and there were 4 or 5 people. It was a very intimate group. And you and I have been talking about that event because it was so different, yet so memorable because it was so intimate. We were able to get to know everybody's stories in more depth. And it was just nice to have that personal touch.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so fascinating that we had some events that there were hundreds of people and then some that there were 4 people. And at first I was oh my God, is this a good use of our time? But then as we did it, I was this actually was really great because you said, it was very much more intimate. And I'm this, I think would be kind of the ideal setting to get a small group of people together to really kind of share their experiences and learn from each other. I think that's such a nice outlet that's different than obviously if you're talking to like a huge room.
And it's also just so great hearing from all of you what you're struggling with, what has really helped you in the past, and what is something you're hoping for in the future with modern dating. We've made our predictions. We've definitely heard everything anecdotally, but to hear from you all individually has been really eye-opening too.
Yeah, so I'll do a shameless plug. If you haven't got the book yet, of course, pick it up. The audiobooks, like we're really seeing a lot of sales on the audiobook. And, you know, it's no surprise, obviously, if you love listening to the podcast, then it's a clear, you know, obvious next step to do kind of this in audiobook format. So we encourage you to get the audiobook, even if maybe you've already gotten hardcover or Kindle, it's a little bit of a different experience. Or if you started at audiobook, we encourage you to get more of the paper copy or digital copy, because then you'll see all the illustrations and the big dateable energy section. So like there is a little bit of a difference between the two, and they are great companions.
And you can always gift your current copy to a friend, a neighbor, a relative, someone you think could really hear the message. I've heard of someone giving up their copy that they bought the first week it came out. They bought the copy, finished reading it, gave it to their free little library down the street, like neighborhood, and then downloaded the audio book. So yeah, there's just different ways of paying it forward too.
Yes. And of course, if you have read the book, we love, love, love seeing the reviews come in.
Yeah.
Either it's on Amazon or Barnes & Nobles or Audible, wherever you got the book, you leave a review. And then if you do have a Goodreads account, that really goes a long way. So again, thanks in advance. We know it's hard to write reviews. It's not usually something that's like natural to many of us, but if you've been around for the ride and consider us friends at this point, do us a favor. We will forever appreciate it.
Yes. And I got this really good piece of advice from someone who said, when you write a review, write it to just your best friend. Don't try to write it to the masses. Don't try to write it to the world. What would you say to your best friend that you think would really help them by them reading this book or getting this product or getting this service? So
love it. Okay, transitioning now. Yue, last 6 months. What's been going on for you?
Okay. Other than the all-consuming book, it's just been a year of protecting my energy. I've been definitely, I'm approaching my mid-40s and I'm feeling a difference in my energy levels and a difference in the way I absorb people's energy. So I found myself being a lot more discerning with the people I have around me and the events I participate in and how I spend my time. That's been the most intentional thing for me this year, and it's been phenomenal. And I know we talked about this in one of our newsletters, but I scheduled my colonoscopy a year early because you're really supposed to get it after 45. I got a year early because I think this is what happens when you enter your 40s. You're just a little anxious about all the medical issues that could pop up. So I kept reading all these stats about how more and more younger people are getting some sort of colon cancer and illnesses. So I scheduled my colonoscopy. And also my partner got his last year because he turned 50 last year. And he's like, it's not that bad. And afterwards, you just feel so clean. Like it's a nice reset for your body. So I guess that's something to look forward to.
It's funny because you sent me a text because like every time, like we always like to provide updates in our newsletter. And you were like, I got one. I scheduled my colonoscopy. And I'm like, you want to put that in the newsletter? You're like, yeah, I do. Like, okay.
I also want to do it just to encourage people to do it. I think there's just whatever you can do to be proactive about your health. I think it's if you have the time, the resources, and the facility to do it, go do it.
I think it's interesting observing you from what you were just saying of like preserving your energy, because I feel like when you moved to San Francisco, you were like what, like 35, I think?
Yeah, exactly 10 years ago.
You were like always on the go.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I swear you never were at your house ever. Like you were like the energizer buddy. Like if I think of someone that had a lot of energy and like social energy, it was you.
Well, same back to you. Yes. Well, being new in a city too, everything's just so different. And San Francisco is so different than any other city I'd ever been in. So I wanted to be part of every community, every event. But now I'm settled in LA. This is my 4th year in LA, Julie.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild? It's just so
I think
fast.
some of it too is with age. I definitely could see
Yeah.
that. And there's like this feeling of like, I want to check it all out. And then you're like, okay, I kind of know myself better. I know what I like. I know who lights me up and gives me energy versus who
Yeah.
depletes it a little more.
Yeah. And knowing how to say no and set those boundaries.
I mean, some of it's being single versus in a relationship too, I think. Because I feel like even like when you were in that relationship with the one before your ex, like the 2.5-year one, I feel like you were a little more low key. Like you still went out, but not as
Yeah.
much as like single UA when you first got there.
Yeah. Maybe it's a different it's a difference of going out, because I certainly didn't go out in the last like 5, 6 years. Well, since COVID, I haven't really gone out. But I think it's about protecting my energy. And that could look like still protecting my energy while going out. It's not the activity itself.
Yeah.
It's just knowing what kind of energy I'm putting myself around.
What's an example?
So an example is I enjoy new friends. I am all about that. But there are certain new friends that I know I only have energy for maybe one day a month. And beyond that, because with new friends, it's a lot of retelling stories. It's a lot of getting to know each other. It's a lot of the introductions. I just don't have the energy for something like that. So I like the newness of it once a month. And I know to say no to any of those invites for the rest of the month.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know. It's a different vibe. And the other day, my friend Emily came over and we were crocheting, and I was like, "Yep, this is my future, crocheting with my friend Emily on the couch." But yeah, it's just like getting to know, having more clarity around what my energy levels are and what I'm capable of is very beneficial to not only me, but the people I'm around.
And let me know if you don't want to talk about this.
Yeah.
But I know there was a time, and I haven't asked you about this in a bit. I know there was a time you were debating moving in with your partner.
Yes.
Where do you stand today with this?
We are still talking about it, exploring the possibility of it. There were some life changes that have delayed those plans, but it is something we're still working towards. I think where my head is at is I'm kind of agnostic either way still. Like we move in, we don't, we live so close together. But for him, he is like, we got to do this. We can't not do this.
So he wants to take the step. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. To him, it's an experience he thinks we must go through. Even if it's a disaster at the end, it's worth going through the experience.
I kind of get that. I mean, I felt the same way. Like, I feel like there's like this line of like things progressing. Or is that like his mentality, or does he have like a different perspective of why?
He just feels that it would bring a different level of connectedness to our relationship.
Yeah. I guess that's what I kind of mean with progressing. Like, obviously, there's like continuing to move, but I think there's a feeling of like it being stagnant, like you're at the same level. And by taking that next step, you like grow together too.
Yeah. And I'm still, you all know, I'm like mavericky, and I'm still debating all of this in my head because do I ultimately want to live with my partner? I don't know. And it's not about him. It's about just living with anybody in general. But then I listened to that episode with Esther Perel on Diary of a CEO, and she says we are becoming too individualistic. That we're losing not only these relational skills, but the connectedness with humans and the space to allow people into our lives. And I was like, okay, thank you. I needed to hear that because I think at some point I overcompensated and it was a little too much on the independent side. And my partner always says like, I would love for you to need me a little more.
Yeah.
And so we're actually at a phase in our relationship where I need to know what needing him means.
Yeah.
Like, be specific about what that is.
I feel like this is like an episode in itself of like, what's the difference of being independent versus like being too independent, that you don't make room for the other person.
Being codependent. Yes. Yeah.
Not even codependent. Like, I'm not saying what I'm trying to say. Like
Okay.
there's a difference of being like it's a good thing that you're independent,
Yeah.
right? Like cuz I
Mhm.
think in the past, especially for women, there was no independence. We were totally dependent
Mhm.
on men. But
Mhm.
then we've now swung like maybe too far that there's
Yeah.
no like connection because we're just like priding on independence. Like when we actually looked at our archetypes quiz, a
Yeah.
lot of people were swinging towards like really valuing independence and
Sure.
maverick tendencies. And I think if you looked at that results like years ago, it might, I mean, I don't know this, obviously, we didn't do the quiz, but my guess would be it would be actually less than it is today. Because I think there's been a lot of that sensationalism in culture in the last like 10 years.
That'd be a really interesting experiment to do. And I would want to know, at what point is the independence becoming toxic
Right.
that prevents you from having a deeper connection with someone. That's when independence is a problem.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
that's the update.
That's the update. Okay. A lot going on. You've also have a big trip coming up as well.
Well, my love for tennis just grows and grows. That's probably the one partner I would live with, which is my tennis racket and my tennis ball
Every
machine.
night it's Yue and her tennis racket in that king size bed.
I'm telling you, I would cuddle that racket so hard. But here's the thing. This is a love that has grown so much in the past year. Now I play tennis almost every day. I went from playing once a week thinking that's pretty good. Now
Yeah.
it's almost
You
every
were
day.
obsessed.
I am obsessed, and it's getting this energy out of me. Going back to protecting my energy, I am so good at getting energized when I'm on the court that after tennis, I feel like I'm good to do anything. I'm open to doing anything, really. So I know it's one activity that really energizes me. I've now centered all of my planning around tennis. Like I have a big tennis trip coming up in August. I don't know what I uncovered, but it is pure magic for me.
So where are you going on this tennis trip?
So I am going to Rafa Nadal's academy in Mallorca, Spain, where I will be doing a full week adult tennis camp to be trained like a pro. And you actually stay on the premises. They feed you, they train you. You train off the court too. So they'll do like nutritional consulting, they'll do like blood testing.
Wow.
It's the whole thing. It's basically if you want a taste of what it's like to train as a pro tennis player, you can go do that. But obviously, they're not going to be as hard on us.
Because you're paying to be there.
Yeah, exactly. You're paying to be there. And then also, I'm middle aged. Like, they're not going to train me like I'm 13. So, yes, that's love of tennis is leading me to all kinds of different opportunities.
Love it. Love it. I want to dive into this even more, but before we do, let's take a quick break to hear from our partners. With summer in full swing, it's time for a closet refresh, but I'm trying not to waste money on pieces I'll only wear for just one season. That's where Quince comes in. Their clothes are timeless, feel luxurious, look elevated, and the quality is way beyond what you'd expect for the price. Think 100% European linen tops starting at $30, washable silk dresses and skirts, and soft cotton sweaters. And the best part, everything with Quince is half the cost of similar brands because Quince works directly with top artisans and cuts out the middleman. I've been on a bit of a shopping spree with Quince lately. I got some wide leg jeans that are perfect for evenings that will take me well into fall, and European linen pants that are so lightweight and perfect for that summer warm weather. So give your summer closet an upgrade with Quince. Go to quince.com/dateable for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dateable to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dateable.
And then your wedding planning. So reflect back for 6 months. Do you feel like this is like a breather point because all the planning was happening?
I do feel like the last couple months have been a breather of planning. It's going to start up again. But
Yeah.
like we did it relatively fast, and I'm glad. Like it's a lot in a short time, but I just feel like if I had another year, I would just be thinking about this for another year. And
Mhm.
I think for me, it's better to just
Mhm.
work in different increments. And I think like with this, I guess the first part is I think in January, like, we got engaged in December.
Mhm.
I think initially we're like, oh, we'll take a breather before doing any wedding planning. Like initially I wasn't even thinking about starting until, like end of January. And then we actually went to Calistoga, which is in Napa, with
Mhm.
my fiance's mom when she was visiting around the holidays. And while we were up there, we're like, we might as well look at places. Like, we have nothing
Yeah.
else to do. And also, pro tip, looking at places is the best because they give you a bunch of free wine and you basically take tours of the places.
And they're so nice to you.
Yeah, I'm not like recommending people make it up that they're engaged, or maybe subtly I am. No, I'm just kidding. But I think like it was really fun. Like we actually really enjoyed it. And I think when we started doing it, we learned that if we did want to get married this summer or fall, we kind of needed to act quickly
Yeah.
or there would not be an available spot.
Yeah.
So learning this kind of went into overdrive in that first month. And,
Mhm.
we actually realized we only did it for like 4 weekends. We actually quickly realized that we didn't want a city wedding,
Mhm.
like very fast. Like we didn't actually even tour any like city venues. We toured a couple in the Presidio of San Francisco. For anyone that's familiar, it's more like outdoorsy.
Yeah, more nature.
More nature. So we were already like drawn to that side of San Francisco. And then at that point, we're like, if we're going to like commit to like half nature, we might as well just go all
Go
out to
full.
nature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's like ultimately what we wanted. We both love being in nature, and that was what we wanted. So
Mhm.
we did like 1 weekend in Marin, 2 weekends in Sonoma, Napa area, and then like San Francisco. And then like kind of realized that we were really drawn to more of the Sonoma area.
Mhm.
And yeah, just like fell in love with our venue, and they had one date available. So we took it.
It's almost better that they only had one option, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we were a little like, oh, should we do this over a long weekend? And then
Oh,
actually, like, my fiance asked his friend, like, I think I reached out to you, UA, of
yeah.
like, when, like, just to get a gut of people's availability, like,
Mhm.
before we booked anything. And like, one of his best friends, it turned out he forgot, like, my fiance officiated her wedding, but she got married that weekend. Labor Day is when
Oh,
we're getting married. So she's like, what's cool about it is your anniversary is always on a long weekend.
yeah.
So like if you want to go away and stuff.
That is
So
cool.
yeah, I think like ultimately it was a good date. There were a couple people that had like pre-existing travel plans, but I think
Yeah.
the reality is like that's going to happen any date. So
Yep.
I don't think we like lost people because of the date. It was more of just like we would have lost people anyways,
Yeah.
regardless. So yeah, I think we're just kind of like finalizing the numbers now and gonna kick it back. But like yeah, I think the venue we chose was pretty easy in the sense that they gave us lists of like, DJs to go with, caterers to go with,
They
like
got it down.
florists. They're a well-oiled machine. So I'm really like excited about this place, and it's just beautiful. Like it overlooks wineries, they have redwood trees, like it's just gorgeous. I think
Mhm.
exactly what we wanted. So yeah, UA was able to come with me on a tasting of food, and the
So good.
caterer is what we wanted. They were like their head chef. I mean, it's not who's going to be like cooking, but the head chef was like a James Beard nominee. So we're like, this is what we're looking for.
Yeah, the true testament of someone's food is their vegetarian dish good? And I was, like, in love with their vegetarian
Yeah.
dish, so that said a lot.
There were two options of food, and like the first one was good. It wasn't bad, but it just like wasn't really what I was envisioning.
Yeah.
And then when we had the second one that you came to, I was like, yeah, this is what I was envisioning.
Yeah.
So it was perfect.
So the wedding planning is pretty much buttoned up
Yeah, I mean, I
for
think it's just like details at this point.
yeah. Mhm.
A lot of
And
details. I'm
I know
starting.
we talked about this in a previous episode because you and I share the same TikTok account. So I know exactly what Julie's going through just based on what's served to me when I open TikTok. And for months, it was like wedding planning, things I hate at weddings or things I love at weddings, And now it's just all I see are puppies. Julie,
I
is
love
there
it.
something
I
you need to
love
tell
it.
us?
I mean, no, we want to get a puppy, but we want to wait until after we're back from Greece. We're going to Greece on our honeymoon, which is very exciting. But yeah, I think what I realized with TikTok, I I don't know. I mean, I'm very excited for my wedding, don't get me wrong. And I think it's going to be great. But I've never been someone that like loves wedding culture. Like, I think there's
Mhm.
like a lot of stuff that's cringe or unnecessary. We've chosen the stuff that like we want to be doing, not like stuff that we have to be doing, or
Yeah.
like, I don't know, stuff that like people don't really end up remembering anyways, like little details. And again, if you're all about it, like great. But I watch these TikTok videos and I'm like, I'm glad I'm not doing any of this stuff.
End of the day, just protect your relationship. That's all that is the most important part of all of this, because I get on my phone reminders of this wedding I went to 2 years ago that was planned to the T. I mean, every little detail. It was a gorgeous wedding, and they ended up getting divorced like less than a year later. So I rather much rather you spend all that energy on your relationship than the little details of a wedding.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just like for me, I'm like, it needs good food, it needs good energy, like DJ and all that. And we wanted to do a guitarist. My fiance really wanted a guitarist because he
Mhm.
loves live music. And I think that will bring like a good element that not everyone does.
Yeah.
And obviously have drinks. And like ultimately, that's what everyone just wants. And a good ceremony. Like clearly, that's important.
Okay. So then, Bachelorette, do you feel recovered from that
Oh my
weekend?
God. The Bachelorette was amazing. I feel like we did a recap in this episode that we aired recently about marriage. So it kind of went hand in hand. It was what you need to know about marriage before you even get married with
Mhm.
Casey and Megan, a couple from Marriage 365. So
Yep.
we really feel strongly like even if you're super single, it's still useful to listen to the episode. But if you're like,
Yes.
marriage is the furthest thing on my mind, you can at least listen to the intro if you're curious on the Bachelorette details. But it was such a fun Bachelorette. I'm still like, just like, I don't know, I finally got a chance to like put some photos on Instagram of
Yeah.
it. Just been like delayed with travel and stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God, that was such a great weekend. I just loved every second of it. And I could not ask for like better friends that organized it. I know you were part of the organizing crew, and just I'm so grateful for like everyone's effort in it and for everyone that came. We had 18 girls at one point, and
Mhm.
I think everyone got along super well. And yeah, it was such a fun time.
Any major learnings from the first 6 months of this year? Takeaways,
Um,
surprises?
I mean, people ask a lot, like, are you stressed about it? And
Mhm.
I feel like no. And the answer, like, so, okay, I shouldn't say no. There have been moments for sure. I think the overall like planning part has like not been stressful. There's been other times in involvement of other people that have made it stressful, but like I don't know, like the basics of wedding planning haven't been bad, and I think that's because I opted out of some stuff. Like I opted
Mhm.
out of like this stuff that I'm like, is this really necessary? And kind of got it to like clearly throwing a good party for people, but like having it be just like what everyone wants in the first place. Like we don't need every last trend and like things that don't feel like authentic. And I think when you strip away that stuff, it becomes a lot more manageable.
Yeah.
And wedding
Yeah.
planning is a total scam. I think at the beginning I like freaked out at the cost, and then I'm just like, okay, it's going to be more than I initially budgeted. And I recognize like I'm in a privileged position to like be able to do that, so I don't want to like discount that. I think there's a lot of stress that comes from wedding planning, but I think at any
Yeah.
budget you can make a beautiful day, because at the end of the day it's really all about you and your partner and then being around with the people that love you. And I think remembering that has kept me sane during this, because I'm like, I don't really need, I don't know, this little like, I don't even know what there's like champagne tower or like tiramisu towers I've seen on like TikTok. And I'm like, does anyone really need this? No, you know?
An ice luge.
Yeah. I think it's a cool idea, don't get me wrong, but I've seen like the live painters that like paint
Oh,
as you're there. I mean, I'm
yeah.
not saying like this stuff isn't cool, but like I'm also like, do I really need it? Content creators are like a big thing at weddings now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I see the merit of it, but I'm also like good just like enjoying the day. I don't need like people like in my face taking like videos and reels and shit. So teach their
Ultimately,
own.
it's your day. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's your day. You gotta do what you wanna do and not
right.
be not not try to conform to what other people are doing.
Yeah. And I'm not making anyone do cheesy dances.
Which you're not making them do it, but maybe some people really wanted to. You don't know.
Maybe.
You didn't take a poll?
No, because I don't want it.
Yeah. You have this like one friend who's like, damn it, she doesn't want us to do a dance.
I actually like played a trick on my friend Vanessa because there's a song, it's just like a whole thing, you know, that party rock anthem, that song by LMFAO. There's this joke that she said a line from it, and she's like, I absolutely in no world would have ever said that. Like there's no way. And it's just been like a persistent joke with that song. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make you come out to that, like for your wedding dance.
Oh, do
like
it.
Bridesmaid dance. And she was like, I'll do it. And I'm like, I'm kidding. Like,
oh, you should.
No.
You should.
Just her comes out, no one else.
Yeah. And only you get it. Only you two get it. Inside joke. Anything we're looking forward to for the second half of the year? Well, other than your wedding, which is very soon.
I guess that's technically in the second half of the year. I'm looking forward to going to Greece. Absolutely.
Yes.
I think I'm looking forward to like what is next for us with this podcast and Dateable as a whole, because like clearly the book never stops and the podcast never stops, but I think we're kind of itching for like that next thing that we can do. And I think the book was a big one, so it required some recovery after and promotion. Like the book tour was its like thing in itself. And it's not like we'll stop doing stuff, but I think we're ready maybe for that next thing. So figuring that out will be fun. And we're also like transparently, I think something Yue and I both think about is like, obviously we're still very much invested in dating. I like to share experiences so other people don't necessarily have to go through it or feel like not alone in their experience, but we're also entering different phases of our relationships. And what does that look like? And how do we talk about some of that stuff in addition to dating?
Yeah, I feel slightly different in that I am a little exhausted from talking about dating. I'll be perfectly honest. Like, I feel like sometimes we hear the same things. It's like Groundhog's Day. And this episode we came out about what to know about marriage before you get married. I wish I would have come across an episode like that when I was single.
Yeah.
And I think that is some of the work that so many of us should be doing, but aren't doing because we spend so much of our time complaining instead. So what I would love to see for all of us to do is shift our mentality from, oh, dating sucks, to let's do something about it. What are some proactive ways that we can learn from people in successful relationships that we can apply to dating and being single?
Yeah. Or just relational skills, because I think that's why dating is so hard, is because we feel like we have this whole other skill set that we're supposed to learn for dating. And the reality is, like, the more and more we learn about dating, that's actually the stuff that doesn't get you into relationships. That's how you trick someone into, like, I don't know, like all the bad stuff that we saw for years of like how to make the guy chase you and fall for you. That stuff is all BS. And I think like a lot of that has been woven out in our culture, but then there's also like new things that come in. Like, I'm sick of talking about situationships. Like, we need to just leave these people in the dust and, know our own value. And I know easier said than done, but like, I think that's the stuff that would be great to like see how we can change the conversation. Like you said, we're not just dwelling on the same stuff of why modern dating is so hard, but more about like, what's actually the beauty in it? Like, what are we learning? What's the relational skills that we are taking from dating into our next relationship? Because I think like looking back, you can see it very clearly that like all of this was actually setting you up for that next stage.
Yeah. I just hope we're going in a direction where we're not abandoning our respect for each other.
Yeah.
And I think we've already started doing that. And I think we've started disrespecting ourselves too. There's a new trend on TikTok of people not wearing any makeup and wearing like sweatpants on first dates. I know that feels empowering as a message, maybe like 2 years ago, to be like, you don't need makeup. You need to put in the extra effort for people. But I think a lot of this, like how you present yourself in the world is how you respect yourself and how do you show your respect to others. And I think we've lost some of that because we're now preaching this individualism of like, just do whatever you want to do. Just be lazy. Just like do whatever you feel like doing today. But we have to remember we live in a world with other people. So how do we all exist together in a harmonious way?
I want to talk about that another day because I think there's a lot of layers on that. Like, I see what you're saying in some regards, but then in other regards of just like conforming to this like fakeness of dating culture where we're judging partners by like how they show up for a first date. And that's not how they're ever going to look again in the relationship. I feel like that's also not the way forward. So I see like the extreme, but like, like what is that middle ground? Because I think just like the old way of just showing up to the nines and like putting in crazy amount of like effort that just like isn't realistic and like who we actually are is not the answer either.
Yeah. This is what we do as a society. We overcorrect. And now we're in this phase of correcting back, and do we overcorrect back the other way? And like, where do we find that happy medium? I don't know. But I just hope that we can have these discussions because we can't just overcorrect and be like, everything's changed. Everything's fine. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to be on our off season. We're going to have a lot of great interviews. We're going to re-air some of the episodes that we actually were on other folks' podcasts. You can learn more about, some other of our friends in the industry and also check them out in addition to hear about how to be dateable more. And we hope that you have enjoyed the last season. I think there's been a lot that's come out of it. We've had some great guests that we've been recording. We're going to continue to record. We want to bring back more dating experiments. We want to bring back more real stories. So if you have something you want to talk about or you want to get set up on a date, we've had some people reach out to us. So we're just trying to see like, are there people we can set people up with that makes sense? So send us an email, hello@dateablepodcast.com. Tell us what you want to hear. If you are down to be a guest, down to be on a blind date, we'd love to hear from you.
All right. Wrapping up this episode.
Stay dateable.